Okay boys, so this is the last tutorial on how to produce a two-point perspective drawing. You can see that I've finished off the rendering of my lighting design and I've fine-lined all of the edges. What I'm hoping you should be able to see is that on the outside edges, so the edges whereby, and we've talked about this in class, if a spider walked from one face and walked over the line, if the spider disappears, you couldn't see it anymore. That line should be a double thickness line. So you should see on mine, the outside lines here are a double thickness line. And there is one more that I need to do, which is here. You should see that those double thickness lines just give it an extra punch of aesthetic, make it look a little bit nicer. Now, my pen wasn't great, and you can see there are a few errors actually, kind of here, here, and these parts here, and that's where the ink has bled into the paper a little bit. Shouldn't happen with you so much. Okay, so now I want to talk about annotating. Now, when we come to annotator design, is really, really important. I would like us to think about annotating on all of our design work about materials, manufacture techniques, function, sustainability, so we're thinking about the 6 R's, recycle, reduce, reuse, and aesthetics, so where have you got the idea from? Okay, so they're the things that we want to think about annotating about. When I'm going to start creating annotations, we want to think about presenting this properly. We don't want to just scribble writing on our page. Two ways that you could do it. The first way is when you take a picture of your idea or a scan of your idea, and that gets pasted onto the sheet that you're producing digitally. Then produce your annotations by typing. That is a really neat way of doing it. But if you want to do it by hand, that's also fine. This is what I would do. I would create a box. Like that. I would write down the title of what that is going to be about, maybe aesthetics. And I would try to highlight whereabouts we're talking about. So maybe if I just talk about this area here, like that. Just move my camera down so you can see. Like that. Maybe I talk there about material. And I have no problem with you doing this in block capitals if it is neater. And I could write down my annotation for material there, okay, in a nice neat box, and I'm showing that I'm talking about that base. That would be a nice way of doing it. I also think it's important to try and have some 2D diagrams or construction diagrams showing how this would get manufactured. So if I'm thinking about maybe here, this piece and this piece, well, maybe it's being welded and ground down so it looks like one piece. Well, I could draw a 2D diagram to show that. Well, that's my 2D base. And maybe a 2D diagram like that just adds that little bit of extra detail to the drawing, shows what the side profile is potentially. Maybe in here we could do a dotted line just to represent the LED or the light or whatever's going to go in there. Maybe we could think about how the wiring goes through a channel inside this and comes out the back. So when we come to doing our finishing touches for any 2-point perspective design, we want to be thinking about annotating about these things here. When we produce our annotations, think about presenting them really neatly. Doesn't have to be a box like that, but something like that so you can present it neatly. And think about also adding 2D drawings to show assembly or construction methods that you couldn't previously show on your kind of artistic drawing, or maybe just to show it from a different angle.